my name is Jeannie Lauren Dowden for Conduit News. Well, the President of the United States' son now wants you to believe that he is living in poverty and can no longer afford to make his child support payments to his 4-year-old daughter living here in Arkansas. Joining us today on Conduit News is attorney Clint Lancaster. He is representing that 4-year-old little girl. Hi, Clint.
Hey, Jenny Lauren, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining Conduit today. I know that this is the first time that you've talked about this case on camera, so we really appreciate you joining us today.
Well, thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Well, okay, I think the majority of people who read this and who saw this news break this week are thinking, this is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. We've read so much about Hunter and his activities, and now he wants to say that his financial situation has changed and he needs the court to lower his payments. Talk to us about that.
Well, when Hunter's child support was first set, the child support laws in Arkansas were different. And so at that time period, you took his last 3 years of incomes based off his tax returns, which has been the subject of controversy, and you average those out to get a monthly, and then you set a percentage based on that. So since that time, Arkansas's law on child support has changed, and now it's based off both parents' income. And without going into a lot of technical details, typically a person paying child support will pay less under the new scheme than they would under the old scheme. So I guess, my opinion is that this little girl needs the support of her father. Her siblings and her family live a privileged life, and there's no reason why this little girl shouldn't either.
Yeah, so tell us more about that. You mentioned that you were a bit surprised by this. This is relatively new news for you. They filed this complaint in Independence County. Talk to us more about that. Were you surprised and your client surprised by this motion?
Yes, we were both very surprised. We actually happened to be in Batesville together for some other reason dealing with the court system, and we found out that day. So this was very much a surprise. I'm very familiar with Hunter's attorney that handles this, Brent Langdon. Given the fact that I called Brent Langdon and told him the DOJ had subpoenaed us back before they even knew about it, I was disappointed to hear that Brent Langdon did not call me first and say, hey, we're reopening these case.
Talk to us a little bit about that more, if you would. What's happened in the past? There may be viewers who are not completely familiar with everything that's happened. Can you just give us a quick update on that?
Sure. So, back a couple of years ago, I think it was 2020-ish, my client filed a child support action in Batesville, Arkansas, Independence County. We served Hunter Biden in California at his home off of Sunset Boulevard in West Hollywood. And so at that time period, of course, like a lot of people, he tried to delay as much as he could, but we kept the pressure on him legally. And eventually what happened was we got his last 3 years of his tax returns, which included his Burisma money. Now, people always want to know, what is the amount that Hunter Biden pays? Well, Judge Holly Meyer has sealed that information, so I can't disclose it. But I will tell you, I got his last 3 tax returns. That included the Burisma money. We set an average, and we gave him no deductions. Okay, so if you want to do math, but that's as much as I'm going to say on it. So the thing about it is, I feel like I don't feel like Hunter Biden is entitled to a reduction in his child support. Okay, based off what I know from talking to the DOJ, the FBI, and the IRS enforcement agent that I met with, I'm not convinced at all that Hunter's income was accurate when we said it previously. However, we were happy to let that lie, just to, let it be. But if Hunter Biden wants to reopen his child support case, I'm going to need to look at his finances. And I'm going to do the same thing I did last time, as I'm going to take his deposition, and my forensic accountants are going to be there.
Do you think you'll get any pushback on that?
Oh, Hunter Biden always pushes back. I mean, that's his MO. But, I don't push very easily.
Are you also worried about, though, the DOJ, FBI, any of these entities involved that have become somewhat weaponized? Are you worried that there may be special privilege involved for Hunter?
Well, those are all federal cases, or federal issues, and this is a state issue. And what's nice about that is the federal judiciary and the state judiciary operate in a very different manner here in Arkansas. So the DOJ, I don't believe the DOJ or the fact of Biden's father status is going to impact this very much.
It's just so crazy to hear him say, okay, you know what, my financial situation has changed. It's like less deals in China, like fewer art sales. Like we, when people see how things, how the situation seems to be as far as his finances, how much money he's made, even particular dealings with his dad, this is almost just like a slap in the face. I can't imagine how the mother of this child feels. That is a little girl who, regardless of the situation, deserves to have her father involved in some way.
You know, my client would. I don't know how my client feels about the father and grandfather's involvement. I think, and I think I'm safe saying that she wishes that he would be more involved, both of them. However, you know, at the end of the day, this is just child support, and as many people say, this is about math. There's a friend of mine that works for Everett Chevrolet or GMC here in Saline County, a guy named Brandon Hudspeth, and I asked him one time about a truck I was trying to buy, and I said, you know, I'd just like to pay a little less. And Brandon said, I'm always looking for somebody that will pay a little more. And the same thing is true about child support. Most people think that they should pay less than they should pay. And so I'm not surprised that I'm not totally taken aback that Hunter thinks he should pay less, but the methodology of it is a little bit troubling. And overall, you know, the last time they did not want me to look at Hunter's finances very deeply. And so the fact that they are now more open to that, well, that's something we'll deal with.
Yeah, it's just at the end of the day, to me, it's infuriating a little bit that this is still a little girl, and the fact that her dad, her granddad, this entitled family just completely ignore her like she doesn't exist. That does not make me happy, Clint, at all. Well, I can't help but think also, as you're digging into the finances, would it not be ironic if you were the person, after all of these years, the media hasn't touched it at all, to dig into its finances and to finally break this case?
Well, you know, yeah, that would be interesting. At the end of the day, though, my primary goal is making sure that my client and her child are treated fairly and get
Yeah,
what they are due. And
yeah.
you know, Hunter Biden is in the past, and I think in his book said that he took responsibility, and he hasn't taken responsibility until he parents this child.
Mm.
Merely supporting a child that does not have a father in her life is not taking responsibility. And so I would love to see Hunter Biden take full responsibility and parent this child. This is a beautiful little girl that looks like her
Yeah,
mom and her dad. And
yeah.
there's a, you know, as I tell everybody, that it might be mom's fault, it might be dad's fault, but it is absolutely not this kid's fault.
100% could not agree more. Is there anything else that you would like to add, and maybe what the next steps look like?
Well, the case is just underway. We were served a couple days ago, so I'm going to file an answer probably Monday-ish, and then we're going to engage in discovery, which I think that Brent Langdon and Hunter Biden are well prepared to anticipate. So
Mm.
that's it's going to get going again, and you know the next step is just doing some paperwork and getting some information.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Clint, for joining Conduit today. We really appreciate it and hope that you keep us updated.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.